watching News 3 Now at 10.
Record numbers of people are testing positive for COVID-19 in the United Kingdom. The UK had its highest daily increase in new cases yesterday with more than 57,000. The country's health department says the spike is due to a variant of the virus, which experts believe is more transmissible. Multiple states, including California, Colorado, and Florida, have already discovered cases of that new strain right here in the U.S. Wisconsin is seeing more than twice as many new cases of COVID-19 compared to yesterday. DHS and county dashboards show an increase of 2,400 infections over the past day. 5 more people have died, while 26,000 cases remain active. Yesterday's drop in cases was likely due to many testing facilities being closed on Friday for New Year's Day. The U.S. surpassed another grim milestone in the pandemic this morning, 350,000 deaths. That's according to data from Johns Hopkins. The U.S. has reported nearly 20.5 million cases. A model used by the White House projects nearly 570,000 COVID-related deaths in the country by April 1st. In a tweet today, President Trump called the CDC's method of determining U.S. coronavirus deaths, quote, ridiculous, said the country's death toll is fake news. Dr. Anthony Fauci says Trump is wrong.
Well, the deaths are real deaths. I mean, all you need to do is to go out into the trenches, go to the hospitals, see what the healthcare workers are dealing with. They are under very stressed situations. In many areas of the country, the hospital beds are stretched. People are running out of beds, running out of trained personnel who are exhausted right now. That's real. That's not fake. That's real.
In 94% of deaths with COVID-19, the CDC's chief of mortality statistics say other conditions are listed in addition to COVID. Those causes may include chronic conditions like diabetes or hypertension. The year 2020 brought with it more news stories and new developments than any other recent year in memory. As we move into the first full week of 2021, our Adam Duxter is looking ahead at stories that could be making the most waves this year.
Mr. President, will you take our questions?
3 days into the new year, and much of America's focus is on the next 17, watching for a peaceful transfer of power from President Trump to President-elect Joe Biden. Despite the Electoral College already casting its votes, a number of Republican senators say they're committed to disputing the results no matter what. Biden's inauguration is set for January 20th. The coronavirus dominated headlines and seemingly life itself for 3/4 of 2020 and hasn't gone away since the start of the new year. At its current pace, Wisconsin will likely reach 5,000 total deaths over the course of the next 2 weeks. In 2021, however, the focus will be on vaccines and their rollout. While Wisconsin's COVID numbers have slowly trended downward since mid-November, it'll likely take until the spring before most of us see the vaccine make an impact on our daily lives. But as that does happen, it will provide Wisconsin the opportunity to reopen. Governor Evers already urging schools to do so after winter break. While local health officials have softened their stance on reopening schools, MMSD hasn't made the call yet. District leaders plan to do so in the next 5 days. As for businesses, the damage caused by the virus and statewide shutdown is already clear.
It's been beyond challenging. It's just purely not sustainable.
With 31 State Street shops and restaurants closing their doors since the start of the pandemic, and others hoping GoFundMe campaigns and takeout orders can hold them over a few months longer. While the pandemic took lives in Madison last year, so did gun violence. Shots fired incidents doubled, and murders, including the murder of 11-year-old Anissa Scott, were tied for the most on record.
Defendant essentially driving around the city of Madison in a stolen car.
And this year, we'll follow the trials for the 3 young men who police say are responsible for Scott's death, as well as watch the changes within MPD as they place their hopes in a new leader, Dr. Sean Barnes, who will be tasked with handling not only the issue of increased gun violence, but also repairing police and public relations as a whole. And that's because we expect to see 2 significant legal rulings involving police in 2021. The city of Kenosha is already preparing for a decision in Officer Rustin Shesky's case as soon as mid-January and is preparing for protests to follow. On August 23rd, Shesky shot Jacob Blake multiple times at point-blank range. In March, a trial is scheduled to begin for 4 Minneapolis police officers, including Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd in May. sparking protests and reform throughout the country. And those calls for reform made it to the Wisconsin state capitol, but it's too early to say if the Joint Task Force on Race will produce systemic change. Reform has already led to some activists landing new jobs as state lawmakers, and now attention will shift to local elections this spring.
I felt really empowered by the social justice movement.
With more activists potentially joining Madison's council in just 93 days. Looking ahead to the next 362 days, Adam Duxter, News 3 Now.
And just like 2020, there will be stories and major events that we cannot predict. But as this year happens, we continue to bring you the latest on what is impacting your life each day. Let's get a look at your first warn weather with Chief Meteorologist Gary Kanalty. A big year for weather, too.
Yeah, but fortunately, most of the big weather stayed outside of Wisconsin. There was a derecho down to our south in Iowa and Illinois, but that missed us for the most part, just caused some damage in southern Wisconsin, but over $1 billion to our south. Right now, our big concern is fog. Now, one benefit of this type of fog and freezing fog is that you can end up with hoarfrost on some of the branches. And this picture was taken by Jerry Lorenz in Lodi. Some beautiful pictures out there, as long as you didn't have to drive it on slippery roads. The live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam shows just a little bit of light sneaking on through at the bottom of the picture. The Edgewater Skycam, well, where's the Capitol? If you look really closely, you might be able to make out some lights, at least down at the bottom of the picture. And the WISC TV Skycam looking out toward the east, completely filled with fog. As we check out visibility right now, officially at the Dane County Regional Airport, 1 mile visibility being noticed, this area of thicker fog right where we are on the west side of Madison. Quarter-mile visibility being reported at Platteville, Mineral Point, and Juneau. Many locations seeing visibilities down to less than a half mile. Dense fog advisory in effect until noon tomorrow for all of southern Wisconsin, even up to the lakeshore area. Milwaukee now under the dense fog advisory, and there could be some freezing fog mixed in. But on high-resolution radar, no precipitation, not even getting any flurries or anything. There are a few flurries and light rain showers in eastern portions of North Dakota. That will move through here late tomorrow afternoon with some flurries that could linger into tomorrow evening. But the fog is the big problem across the central Midwest. The thickest fog from southern Wisconsin into Iowa and Illinois. It's actually not so bad to our north and to our west. That dense fog advisory reflects that. Still all of Iowa under a dense fog advisory, as well as northern Illinois. 3 things you need to know in the forecast. Well, the dense fog will continue through tomorrow morning. We'll see dry weather through Wednesday, and even then, just a slight chance for some flurries, and temperatures remaining right around average or even a little bit above as we head into the early part of next week. So all of this week and part of next week should be mainly dry. Snow depth right now, thickest across southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and the northwestern portion of of Wisconsin and parts of northeastern Minnesota. That's keeping temperatures down here. Farther out to the west, you can see some pockets of 40s over western Minnesota and the eastern Dakotas as a little milder air sneaks in over there. Our forecast includes that dense fog advisory until noon tomorrow for all of southern Wisconsin. For tomorrow, look for some fog and freezing fog in the morning, high of 32, maybe a few flurries late in the afternoon. 7 to 10 day forecast, dry weather on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll see at least a little sunshine mixed in the afternoon. It'd be nice to see that because there's not going to be a lot in the 10-day forecast. Lots of clouds, maybe just a slight chance for snow late Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, and then dry weather until perhaps some snow toward the latter part of next week. So that could be almost a 10-day period with really no precipitation.
Yeah, it'll be nice that it's clear, but, you know, everyone likes a little sunshine now and then.
Yeah, they need to break up the gloom a bit.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gary. Just ahead in sports, Jonathan Taylor runs wild against the Jaguars. The record-setting performance from the former Badger is next in sports with Zach.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Finally home. Okay, let's go.
Come on.
Yeah.
Welcome to the final days of Toyotathon. Here for a great deal.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the wait is over.
Oh, Camry. Yes.
Right now, during the final days of Toyotathon, you can lease a new 2021 Toyota Corolla for $179 a month with $500 lease bonus cash included.
You can get a great deal, too, at Toyotathon, but it all ends January 4th.
Toyota, let's go places.
it happens.
We want to make sure our vaccination sites are ready.
Right here, where you live.
Nearly half of Dane County's total COVID deaths have come in the last month.
Information that you can use.
These case counts are still testing our public health system and straining our hospital system.
From the team you can trust.
So many generous people are willing to help us.
For more local stories that impact your life, News 3 Now.
On the next Live at 4, we'll meet our Pet of the Week from the Dane County Humane Society. And film critic Will Loper will run down all the new movies and streaming shows you might want to check out.
Download the Channel 3000 First Warn Weather app today. Get more local news now with Channel 3000 Plus, our free digital streaming service that brings you area news and info 24/7 from the News 3 Now team. Channel 3000 Plus. Download it today and watch from your streaming media player or mobile device. News 3 Now and Channel 3000 put top stories and breaking news at your fingertips. Video alerts and forecasts, simple and fast. Download the Channel 3000 app today.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Saturday, Jake Ferguson announced he's coming back for one more year in Madison. Today, another one of Graham Mertz's top targets said he's going to run it back. Kendrick Pryor said it the only way he can on Twitter. We back, baby. And if you're Graham Mertz, you have to be grinning from ear to ear because when everybody was playing, he looked really good. When they weren't, well, you know. So the focus this offseason for Wisconsin's QB1, build on his first year as a starter.
It'll be a great offseason for him to learn, great offseason for him to be able to grow from the experiences that he's had.
I grew as a leader, grew as a teammate, and then obviously grew in the mental game and then on the field, just truly knowing how to play and going out there and executing. So definitely there's a ton of stuff that I've learned from the season, literally every day of practice, and there's a lot of stuff to come.
Pretty nice day for some former Badgers. Quintez Cephas snagged his second NFL career touchdown with that 20-yard strike from Matthew Stafford. Both Troy Fumagalli and Melvin Gordon scored for the Broncos, but the Badger of the day, Jonathan Taylor. 30 carries, a Colts franchise record 253 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the Jags, and in the win he became just the 5th rookie to rush for over 1,000 yards. The Wisconsin women taking on Minnesota. Badgers looking for their first Big Ten win of the season. They were down 12 in the second, and Sydney Hilliard took matters into her own hands. The former Monroe cheesemaker lays it up and in for 2 of her 21. Then later, it's Hilliard again, this time with the dish to Julie Pospisilova. She dropped in a game-high 28. Badgers rallied to force OT, but fall 88-83 in overtime. And thanks to a 21-save performance from Kennedy Blair and Brett Pettit's golden goal in the third period, the Badger women's hockey team blanks Minnesota State 1-0 the final. We're back after this.
Is your credit score getting in the way of things you want to do? Personal loans through NetCredit help you borrow up to $10,000. So check your eligibility on netcredit.com today without affecting your credit score. You may even be able to build your credit history as you repay. NetCredit, a more personal loan.
This does not look like a discount sofa.
It's not. Everything I sell is quality furniture, and I give you a discount. Bob's discount.
Interesting. I'll remember this for as long as I live.
Bob. You look so young.
Do you remember?
It's not discount furniture. It's quality furniture at a discount.
Bob's discount.
Get Bob's discount!
Only at Bob's Discount Furniture.
When we hear a big storm's headed our way, some of us fall back into bed, some into fresh powder. spending your day indoors or out, it's all about knowing what to expect. Watch News 3 Now for an accurate first warn forecast so you can plan your perfect day. News 3 Now this morning brought together chefs and owners from struggling local restaurants.
Without assistance, a lot of us aren't going to exist in 2021.
Your holiday helpings are already making a difference, and continued support can help keep these vital community businesses alive. Learn more at channel3000.com.
Finding the right ingredients for a healthy lifestyle can be tricky. That's why SSM Health and News 3 Now are here to help.
Our Time for Kids recipe for health experts use online conversations and on-air reports to answer your health questions.
So tell us, what topics would your family like to hear about? What questions do you have?
Use the handy feedback form on our Time for Kids page to share what matters most to your family's health. And together,
let's take time for kids.
Ghost stories, sleeping in, afternoon naps. Some things are just better with a toasty, warm blanket. That's why News 3 Now and St. Vincent de Paul are collecting new and gently used blankets for our neighbors in need. Please drop them off at a Dane County St. Vincent de Paul store or participating area churches the last weekend of January. Or donate new blankets online at svdpmadison.org.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
Go to Amazon.com skills to enable Channel 3000 news briefs. You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
That fog out there tonight, Gary, is pretty thick.
Yeah, a lot of locations reporting visibility is less than a mile. Some areas a quarter of a mile or less. So be aware if you're driving out there tonight into tomorrow morning. Dense fog advisory continues through noon tomorrow for all of southern Wisconsin. As far as temperatures are concerned, they're in the upper teens to around 20 degrees. That means some freezing fog, also a possibility. Tomorrow, the fog should continue at least through mid-morning, maybe a peak of sun after around noontime, and then maybe a couple of flurries late in the day with a high of 32. But relatively quiet weather is in the forecast for the rest of the week and into the start of the next week.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.